In my career, good. In my career, I have experienced quite a bit of special effects makeup, and it is an incredible skill set. And not for me, for the special effects makeup. I just have to sit there. Actually, that's the hardest thing about it for an actor is that they just have to sit there. No, there's one other much harder thing, and that's to deal with other actors with weapons. Anyway, that is the hardest thing for an actor is just to sit there and let the other people do their work on you, especially if you're starting. You want to get your work continuing, and sometimes that deals with looking at your lines, and if you're like me and you have glasses that you have to take off, you can't even look at your lines. You can't pace, you can't check on things, so you just have to go zen and let them do their stuff. It's sort of a challenge because you just have to accept that. And there's a certain kind of peace to it, right, guys? Who's where? What?
What?
What? They're already there. They don't have to worry. Oh, sol mio. Oh, sol mio. That's Klingons are the greatest. You're going to have that the whole time, like in case he makes a mistake. You will die slowly. All right. Well, this is really a cool thing.
Yes, you're here and Max.
How many early mornings did we all have to drag ourselves?
418. 418.
There was a beautiful haunting thing, though, about the Paramount lot coming in. You're the only one on the lot, and the ghosts are still there. And
It was special.
it was really solitude and just like watching a movie all by yourself in a movie.
It was like being there in the 1930s, because that's when they built that sign.
So all of the
Paramount.
the designs of the buildings, the architecture of them, it's of a different era.
Yeah. And it was just, it was haunting and beautiful, and you go, I'm on the Paramount.
I'm on the Paramount lot.
Wow.
And it's me and the ghosts right now.
Yeah, and it was always still dark.
Always dark.
Yeah.
And we were lucky to get a cup of coffee maybe when we got there. Maybe, if we brought it ourselves, sort of.
Well, you were special.
I know.
And it's like you were special. You got coffee.
I did not get coffee. So, anyway, who wants coffee when you have to sit and let someone else?
Yeah, and who'd you have a lot? Well, you had many. I did too.
To what?
People who did your makeup.
Oh, I just had one person, key person, and then when like you had to put wig hair on or wig on, you go to another trailer.
But how did you do those? How they do those wiggly things on your head?
Acting.
Really? You can do wiggly? I can wiggle my ears. Maybe they could do something with me.
You've got a long way to go, Robert.
With my ears?
Yes, let me know.
Okay.
No, that was a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Another step in the shred makeup was to put the skeleton of what's there on first before they ever started with prosthetics. And
Did you ever fall asleep in the chair?
I don't remember doing that.
That's because you fell asleep in the chair.
Then the answer is yes. They're not messing around. Look at this go.
Yeah.
Do you need a microphone to explain what you're doing, or is this just a...
Yeah.
Oh, look at him.
I've got
Look, he's
Oh, you're mic'd. He's mic'd.
so modern.
a booming voice.
Love it.
Wow.
I'm heading out of here, Because part of this gives me nightmares. No, it doesn't.
No, stay here.
No, well, that's all right. You have a weapon. So you're all great. You're in for
And remember that.
Do you have more prosthetics if you want to be a
Do you know?
Klingon again?
Do you know?
You always wanted to be a Klingon. Admit it. Everybody wants to be a Klingon.
Am I in your budget?
Yes, I can have that.
No.
I
I can't do it. John, this is why they had me do this. Shut up.
Jeffrey!
Thank you, buddy.
All right, maybe I'll come and get a photo taken.
I think so.
What time is
You know,
that?
I always went to get your photos. I've got a whole
I have a collection
I
of
do
photos.
it. Yeah.
What time do you guys do your photo ops?
5 to 6.
5 to 6.
5 to 6?
Yeah, come on over.
That looks
Come on over.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
See you, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, Kat. Thank you.
So, hi everyone. I'm Thomas Supra. Two-time Emmy Award-winning makeup artist. One for Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And it was called Ooh. That was an episode that never aired. No, it was Distant Voices. And anyone remember how many DS9 fans? Distant Voices got to progressively age Sid, and that was a blast. And who knew we would be up for a nomination and get that? So this is quite an honor. So yes, I've got a
Oh, you got my headpiece. I got a story on the headpiece. I forget. I think it was Apocalypse Rising, and it was like going to war because we had so many Klingons. It was like, and we must have had 30 to 40 makeup artists, and it was. And I just got thrown into a chair. I got there at about 4 a.m. and I got thrown into a chair. And the makeup guy I had never had before, and he was a young guy, and he started putting my head on, and I said, "That's not my head." Oh. And he said, "Just be quiet and just sit down." And I'm putting her in, and I said, "No, you're not putting the head on me." And he said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Go get Michael Westmore." And he was like, "No, you can't have Michael Westmore." I said, "Yes, I can get Michael Westmore." And so eventually he talked, I talked, he talked, I talked. And eventually one of the ADs came by and I said, "Get Michael Westmore right now." And so Michael Westmore came down, and he was a little upset because he was quite busy because it was because of all the action. And he said, "What?" And I said, "He wants me to put on another Klingon headpiece." And he said, "Well, he won't put this on this headpiece." And Westmore looked at the makeup artist and he said, "Listen to the actors. They know their heads."
I was also a fan of the show.
Yeah.
A lot of, I hate to say it, but a lot of the makeup people had never even seen a Star Trek episode. They didn't know what a Cardassian was. Andorians were blue people. They really didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't get it or care. It was a paycheck. Yeah. Now, did you realize that's a Klingon emblem?
Oh.
Okay. Did you know the Klingon emblem is repeated throughout the ridges? Okay. That's a familiar song.
Well, the reason is because my eyeballs are so big. If I hit the lids at all, and I can't open my eyes, then Frank would yell at me.
You got a shot.
Yeah.
Blah.
Did I break something? Okay. I'm being fiddled with. That was odd.
Somebody's thing fell down. I don't know what that is, but somebody's.
Oh, the camera. Now, I'm using relatively new silicone medical adhesive. This is Telesis 8F. The F stands for fast, which that's a good thing. The quicker you can kind of get somebody in something, right, Bob?
Yeah. Yeah. There was one time, nobody was late. It's just that they had to change schedules suddenly. And I think I remember somebody had a heart attack on the set. And it was during the CD-ROM. And so we had to change schedules really quickly. And I had 3 makeup artists at the same time, which is impossible. 2, yes, but 3 was like a little overdoing it. And they got in each other's way. But it was done really, really quickly in the days when it had to be sort of slow.
So, speaking of quick, we were allotted, I believe, 2.5 hours to do a Klingon. And an hour for wardrobe and an hour for hair, because that wardrobe's fun to get into, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the wardrobe for Klingons was not too bad. Once in, it was extremely hot. The makeup was never hot. The makeup was genius. But you did sweat in it, so that, you'd have a sweat drop at the end of your nose during a scene, and you knew you blew the take, not because of you, but because of the sweat drop. And the way the makeup people would deal with you, especially in 90 degrees, they would squeeze your forehead, and the sweat would come out your sides just before you were shooting. And then they kind of clamped you down again, so it couldn't escape, but it always could escape. It always found a trick.
So, on Generations, we had some Klingons, and it was just like a week, 2 weeks maybe, shooting with Klingons on the Bird of Prey there, with the Duras sisters. And the hours were crazy. I mean, they were crazy to begin with, but we were also doing the finale for Next Gen and the season finale for DS9. So I was kind of swinging between all 3 shows.
Wow.
And ended up going home one night, setting my alarm, and I had this weird dream, and I kept hearing a phone ringing. It just kept ringing, and I woke up and I'm like, do I even answer it? So I answered it, and it was the fellow makeup artist said, do you plan on coming into work today? And I was like, I'll be right there. So my Klingon that I was allotted 2.5 hours to do, I got in. A gentleman by the name of Scott Berry was my actor, and I said, Scott, no talking. We're just going to do this. We'll catch up later. So I just put my head down and got it done in an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Klingon?
Yep.
Pretty good.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So I'm going to have to do that, but I am talking. So tell me about your fitting. I would love to know about the first time you came in.
The first time I came in, it was funny because everybody else knows about you more than you know about yourself when you come in and your fitting is really the first time after the audition. And Mr. Westmore said something really strange. It was strange to me. He said, oh, you're gone. He said, oh. He said, do you know it's going to be a life thing? And I said, a what? A life thing. I said, no, what does that mean? He said, you'll find out. And he kind of, he's got this kind of smirk. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And then he made, he said, the first thing we're doing for you is we're making a death mask. That's what he called it, and I knew what they were. But you explain what it is.
Well, that was the old term.
Yeah. Now people don't like that term.
So we say life cast.
Life cast.
And
But for Klingons, it's
Yes.
death.
so it's basically when you take an unsuspecting actor and have them sit in your chair and win over their trust by pouring now we're using silicone. It's
The old days, didn't they use plaster?
way back when, like Perce Westmore, they used to use plaster, which I do not recommend because the the exothermic heat will give you blisters.
Yeah, it heated up, and they had straws in your nose or in your mouth. It was the choices.
Right, and now we still use alginate, which was used on you, the dental impression material, but a slower version of that.
Right.
And then it's reinforced with plaster bandages, and the whole process can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how much of the head you need.
Right.
Did they do a full head for you because they needed the wig?
They did the whole thing.
Okay.
They did, and it was Westmore who did it, if I recall. I could be wrong about that because he did have assistants around. And once your eyes go dark, you don't know exactly who's there. But that he was in the beginning and was at the end. He was telling me stories, and it was really fun to hear the stories. And he said, now some people freak out, and if you freak out, we can't do this, but we'll get you out if you do. He said, but in his lifetime, the only people who freaked out on a regular basis were stuntmen.
Yeah.
And one actor. And I'm not sure if I should tell who the actor was.
Was it somebody we worked with?
No. But he's somebody who's still alive.
Oh, okay.
So maybe not.
Yeah. We'll talk later. Hang on. And just get this. So the great thing about when you're doing an established lead Klingon is everything was sculpted for that actor. When we were doing background or stunt Klingons, we'd have a box of foreheads and a box of noses. So we'd have to pick our actors' noses every day. Anyway, it never gets old.
Yeah, the other thing is, makeup artists have a sense of telling you jokes, but you're not allowed to move.
Oh no, don't smile.
Well, you're learning to go.
So, we need to, speaking of life cast, we should get one. So, we have some lovely pieces for you that were made for you in a custom wig. The thing about this is fitting surprisingly well.
Great.
So this brush is deliberately bent. It was made that way so I can weasel it underneath the appliance. So back on track, we used a Dow Corning silicone medical adhesive called 355. And they ended up putting a bunch of restrictions on the solvent, which is trichlorotrifluoroethane. There was a very distinctive smell, right?
Yep.
How is this one feeling?
Good.
Okay. It's
been so many years since.
It's really a smart design having the nose connect in like this. That way you could have multiple noses.
And it's really brilliant because it gives you the ability to have facial expressions because it's under the lobe of the nose. And it's like, it almost feels like there's nothing there, which helps the actor a lot. And it's built into a lot of the aliens I've noticed through the years.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting up by your nostril. You're fine.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Is the headpiece what?
No. I just happen to have a really good. I found I've got a ton of actors at home, and live casts of actors, and I was trying to approximate Bob's measurements, and I think it worked really. The big test was the nose, because everyone's nose is so completely.
Yeah. The problem with they would change my nose a lot, and I always complained about it because the original nose should have been always the original nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I got there, and one day, and I had to talk to Westmore because it looked like what was the Alec Guinness in
Oh wow.
Not Nicholas Nickleby.
Twin City? No, the Tale of Two Cities. There wasn't Tale of Two Cities. It was an English thing, but it was
The
like
Dickens.
it came way out.
He played Fagin.
Yeah, Fagin. Yeah, and it came way out. And I went, I look like Fagin, And he was like, well, okay, I'll look for something. But so every once in a while that would happen. So you'll see a very long nose on one of me at one of the points, and I was like,
Sorry.
it's okay.
Question.
Yeah.
For us amateurs, what adhesives do you recommend?
What?
What adhesive for amateurs? I totally recommend getting the Telesis. It's going to be less frustrating, and it's really simple to work with. You have adhesive and a thinner. At some point, grab me, talk to me. I can't see who you are. Who said that? Hi. Grab me, later on this evening over at Warren's, and, yeah.
Say that again.
I'll give you a list of things.
Where do you get it?
I go directly to the company, actually, and I hate to. Oh gosh, I don't know. I should also explain the prosthetic paint. I manufacture prosthetic paint, and there's a company called PPI that makes these pallets that we use.
Is that water-based or?
This is alcohol, but I do have the water base
Gotcha.
right in front of us. Krylon makes the water base.
Gotcha. Great.
So I'm using my product for the prosthetic.
Right.
I had a question, a couple comments actually.
Okay.
I worked Sicilian for 7 years with Dennis Madalone. With Dennis Madalone.
Oh, Dennis.
Yeah, I was East Coast stunt coordinator, Chester. Good. But Michael Westmore took me in the lab and poured the face cast on me to test me because most stunt guys, like Robert said, don't like it at all. They can't do it.
Right.
So he kept me around to, it was only like an hour, but they pay you nearly $1,000 an hour, so I'd sit there and take it. So they give you a toothpick if you had an itch, right? They give you a toothpick so you could poke it. You couldn't scratch it, but you could poke it. And that 355, they call that Bondo 355. That's kind of old stuff.
You want me to bend down to the?
Oh no, you're good. Is there any way of changing the blue to something warmer? I'm kind of fighting the light right now. Is that too late to do that? Just. Oh! Well, I guess they told me.
Wow.
Question for Max.
The question for you, Max.
For Max. What do you prefer, Klingon makeup or Ferengi?
Klingon makeup. Well, I have a lot more experience with the Ferengi makeup, so maybe that makes it a little easier. We'll have to wait and see till the Klingon makeup is done. To be fair, yeah. This is so far so good on this one. Yeah. Let's see.
Yes.
Oh.
I would say it would be the most difficult actor, actually. Hear the way we talk. When they go off to wardrobe, it's like, did you see that guy? Anyway. Now, Cardassians were a pain. I mean, they, multiple pieces, and they were always flapping up. Klingons, you really didn't have that problem because so much is exposed and,
The hair hit a lot with the Klingons, I would think.
Yeah.
And the heat from the hair, the heat was from the hair, not the makeup. And the wardrobe on the Klingons was horrific, but I'm sure that was true of all aliens. How about with you, Max? Is that bad, your wardrobe, or no?
What was that?
Was the wardrobe hot, your wardrobe?
I had layers. There's a Ferengi jacket, then there's
Right.
something under that, and there's something under that. So I think that was okay. That was an okay part of it. Yeah. Dressing in layers. Yeah.
Which with us it was either leather or, so they were very, very hot. And so were the shoes. The shoes were hot too, but you eventually started sliding in them because they were all size 13. And I asked, why are they all size 13? And somebody said to me, whether it was true or not, said, they're all made for Worf. Wow. Is he going to play my role? I don't know whether that's true, but they were all size 13. I know that. You would sweat in them and you'd just start sliding inside them. It was quite amazing. Yeah, good idea. Yeah. I might sneeze.
Okay. You're sticky and you're sticky and wet here. So just
Question. Hello. Question about the Ferengi ears. Difficult to put on, difficult to stay on, not fall off, and difficult to wear.
Ferengi ears, they're all part of the same kind of helmet appliance. The ears start here, and then there's rubber all the way over your head to the other side. So it would be difficult for something to fall off. It's all attached except for the nose cheek piece, which that was originally 3 pieces, a cheek, a nose, and another cheek, and they made that into one piece. I think when Armin came along, I think they did that to make it easier. As the Ferengi became more and more a part of the action, then they could lower the amount of pieces. They could change. They can go, instead of 3 pieces, they could just make 1 piece out of it, and that was easier for them in dealing with the fragment. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have an offhand question. As a makeup artist, did they just hand you a design and say, this is what I want? Or do you have some feedback in the design?
It depends. Some shows will actually have somebody designing like an entire look of the show, and other times I get hired because I will design. And there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen as well. I remember on Star Trek, Mike would be coming up with new aliens and things like that, and we would all kind of have an idea about them, and we'd be in the upstairs lab and sculpting on Kier Dulé heads, and then we'd take our sculptures and march over to Rick Berman's office, which was always a fun trip.
Sweating the whole way.
Yeah. So we'd go over to Rick's and set him on a table, and he'd come. And it's like, are you looking at them? He's like, yeah, something like that. No. No. That nose with that, but no ears. Or, and he would make a decision, and then we'd all walk back, and Mike would be like, okay, what he said. So it had to be approved on Trek from the powers that be.
So, when you film action scenes, whether it's a fight or somebody being thrown over their console because there are no seatbelts in space, what do you do to keep the prosthetics and the makeup from having a wardrobe malfunction in those more physical scenes?
Let me answer that for a little bit, and then I'll let the makeup artist take over. But it was never the makeup that caused us problems. It was always, always, always the hair. Because I started out with a single wig. When Gowron got to be the head of the Empire, it was like every time I went up a level, I got another wig. So I had 3 wigs at one point. I looked like Jacqueline Kennedy in her prime, with a bouffant, and it used to drive me quite crazy. But you'd be next to a fire, a live fire, sweating like a pig, and then fight Worf with Batless, and then all of a sudden the director would say, "I want you to really turn quickly in this thing so I can have the camera right at your face, and I want you to swing your head like this." And you would do that, and this is what would happen. And here we go. And then the makeup artist would be forced to take every strand of hair off you slowly for the next take. That would do exactly the same thing. And so it was just the constant hair battle. It was just drove you guys crazy, I would imagine. Yeah. And where a lot of other aliens didn't have hair,
Or it'd be lacquered, like the Cardassian hair. I mean, that was hard, crunchy hair.
Yeah. So it was, the makeup was never the hair. I think it was because in secret they actually used nails on our foreheads sometimes, but we didn't mind.
One of the things that